So these little videos, or these lure building videos, they're gonna be called Fish or Flop. And yeah, I'm just gonna come up with ideas, make a lure, go out and fish with it and just see how effective it is. And if it's not effective, then it'll be a flop. And if it is effective, it'll be a fish. Not to be confused with the HGTV television series Flip or Flop. So this is totally different, way different. And then once we are done with each lure, I'm kind of making all this up as I go. So once we are done with each lure, we hang it up on the wall. And maybe what I'll do is I'll do like 2 little hangers with fish, and then another set of hangers that are flop. So then on our wall we will have all of the lures that are actually fishable, and then the other ones that are just total flops. God, that's a good idea. Before we really get into the video, I just want to say thank you to everybody who watches these videos and enjoys watching these videos. And that's the number one thing that I enjoy hearing about, is people enjoying watching the videos I make. And I do it for fun, and that's the only reason why I do these videos. So do me a favor, if there's a part of any of my videos that you like, let me know down below which parts you like. I always like hearing about, you know, different transitions that I might put in there, or different ways that I, you know, just put the video together. And I really enjoy when people catch those things and then let me know about them, because then it makes me feel like oh, okay, like there was actually purpose to why I did that. So as you can tell by the thumbnail, this lure is going to be, boom, paper cup. This is a sweatshirt, not a paper cup, but I saw it on Amazon, and you know, 25 bucks, had to buy it. So yeah. So without further ado, here we go. Okie dokie, so this is what we are looking at. Let's focus this. Kind of looks like a cockroach, which might actually be a really good idea for another lure. Cockroach spoon. Oh man. But for now, we're gonna stick with the little Cletus. And we got a little bit more sanding to do. Just kind of polish this thing up a little bit. But I think first, we're gonna put the hardware on here. Typically with the spoon, you have the eyelet for your line tie. And then the eyelet down there with the split ring and a hook. And you can do that with a spoon, a traditional spoon, because it's metal. Now, since this is wood, I mean, it might hold depending on what kind of fish you were to catch, but since this is wood, we're obviously going to run the risk of that wood breaking if there's just a split ring. It's just not what we're going to do. So instead, on the back side here, I'm going to take a saw and just lightly cut a line just enough to recess a piece of wire, and then we will have line ties and a hook mount location coming right out there. So it'll be like the spoon having the eyelets, but just a little bit exposed. I'm going to try to keep them as inconspicuous as possible. I left enough meat on the side here to where we can just kind of dimple the sides with a tiny drill bit and fill it with lead. Is it going to be heavy as a piece of metal? A solid chunk of metal? No, of course not, because it's wood. But we did go with cherry wood, which is a much denser wood than like cedar. So it'll work. It's going to work so good. Maybe. Probably not. Be cool if it did. Alright, time to cut it. Hopefully it's not cut it in half. So I've been contemplating this long and hard on what to do for a paint scheme. So I've always been kind of infatuated with the 80s and 90s, that kind of retro retro era. So I think we're gonna attempt to do a 90s paper cup paint scheme, and hopefully it looks something like this. Let's try it. What's the worst that happens? It doesn't work? Ooh. First thing we're gonna do is just lock this in, and then I'm just going to shoot it with just some opaque white. When we do the other details, I don't even know what to call them really, but the stripes, lines, I'm just going to use this acrylic paint and a paint roller to do those. The reason why I'm using an airbrush to do the white base coat and not just doing it all with by hand and a paint roller, I just feel like the airbrush will give it a much smoother finish, and you know, then we can do thin coats and it'll dry fairly quickly as well. Time to start painting. Jeez, who am I, Scarface?
Introducing the Little Cletus.
Holy shit, that guy looks like me.
The only wooden fishing spoon on the market. Call today at 1-800-GET-CLETUS.
Hi, yes, Little Cletus. I'll take a dozen.
Call today.
Yeah, I fished with it. It was horrible. I mean, it was absolutely horrible. It was actually almost depressing how bad it was. But you know, I did catch a fish. Even though we did catch a fish, I'm gonna have to call it a flop. It was not heavy enough, and on a retrieve, it came almost straight in. I mean, you had to sit there and just consistently. Yeah, so definitely a flop. It's dumb. It just, there's a reason why nobody's selling wooden spoons. Let's just say.